welcome to the channel. Today I'm gonna cook you chicken. Now, usually Westerners don't deal with bones in the chicken, and this has nothing to do with Asian. But when you are on a budget, especially when you're young, and you want to save as much money as you want, and you want to have a tasty meal, this chicken is a very good dish. Every country is different. It's mostly known in Asia, but Italians would cook this and they would use various kinds of herbs. But Americans usually don't do it. But this is nothing to do with Asian. It is no MSG. But I'm going to use the simplest. You don't need all these different kind of ingredients. If you do, it's good. But I got a green onion and this white onion and the chicken and garlic and ginger, and then various seasoning, and paprika usually looks good. So I'm going to put the heat on and then put the oil. Now if you're a weightlifter or a single guy and you want to impress a girl, I would recommend that you learn this simple dish, because the chicken is like maybe a few dollars, and if you're saving money, you could eat this for like a couple of days. And in this container, you don't need to switch. You just cook it here, and then you just eat it with the rice and the chicken. Usually Philippines and a lot of, I've seen it in India. Indians have so many kind of seasoning and stuff. There is no difference. The difference is the seasoning. The India has the most complicated seasoning, but it's not hard. You just gotta put a lot of stuff in it. And this, I'm gonna teach you the most simplest. So as the oil heats up, I could feel the heat. I'm gonna dice some onions. Okay. Onion. And I have here ginger. I have garlic here too. It's getting hot, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the onion, see that pop, and then I'm going to put some garlic, okay, and then just add the chicken. This chicken was washed, so you can put it all together like that. And just mix. You just want to fry a little bit, like this, until, if it gets too hot, just turn the temperature down. Just brown it a little bit, that's all. You don't have to have it in high heat, just brown it. Now I put garlic in there and ginger. It doesn't matter about like when you put it. I put garlic and onion, and I'm going to put ginger in it. You should put ginger and garlic because they both add a great flavor together. Some country use ginger and some country don't. But besides the health factor, it increases the flavor. Now if I had like carrots and peppers and stuff like that, it would be better. The more vegetables you put in here, the better. Problem is, if you don't have it, and depending where you're at, you don't want to be running to the store for it. It's not necessary. So I'm cooking you the most simplest. Look, chicken, onion, green onion, ginger, garlic. And if you don't have this, use powder. This is the most simplest. If you had carrots, green pepper, red pepper, and celery, yeah, it's gonna make it really great. But if you don't have it, don't run to the store. Don't make that trip. Make yourself, and then you have to wait in line, and then you don't know. You don't need all those ingredients. If you want it, if you have a vegetable cube, then it will be useful here if you have a vegetable. That's what's good about cubes. Cubes are nothing more than condensed vegetables or meat stock. They're really great because they just sit. Now, it's cooking and frying, and I want to add some water. Try to use warm or hot water because cold water will make the temperature go down. Okay, so I'm going to heat this up. Thing about it is, this is a bone. Usually Westerners don't like dealing with bones, but the bones adds great flavor. If you don't use bones, and then you have to buy the stock. It's, your bone, whether it's a beef bone, pork bone, chicken bone, it doesn't matter. The bone gives the flavor from the bone marrow, so it's the best. It doesn't have to be complicated. As it gets boiling right here, what it's doing is making broth. It's making broth. You add more water. Now the hardest thing I've done here was wash the chicken and the onion, garlic, and ginger and just put them all and fried it until it just went a little bit brown. Because if you didn't do that, and you could have just put everything all together and put the water at this level. Problem is, it creates a protein foam, and people, if you don't know about cooking, you might panic. You could eat it; it's not going to hurt you, but it just looks disgusting. By frying it a little bit, it prevents it from producing that foam. That's why it's better to fry it. Now, if you want to impress a girl, okay, and if you cook this dish, whoever girl you're inviting, she's gonna look at you like, I might have to settle my nest here because this guy can cook. And so you could put a lot of, because the water is gonna condense. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna start putting salt, a little bit of salt, okay, a little bit, because I'm gonna add, if you put a lot of salt, don't put soy sauce, and a little bit of sugar, little bit, okay, don't put a lot of sugar in your meat. Then, in Philippines, they use vinegar. They put a touch of vinegar to it. They have a very mild food type, but they seem to put like vinegar. They have a little tangy vinegar to their. The chicken doesn't change no matter what country. Okay, what changes the dish is the herbs and the spices. So if you're in India, you have all these different kinds. I'm going to put red in it because red makes it look more better. And then, as I told you, put sesame oil. It's not coming out. And what makes it great is these green onions. Green onions always makes dishes look great. Okay. Like this. Now within these simple ingredients, it's gonna produce great flavor. You don't need to have all different kinds of, if you do have it, it's great. But it's really not necessary. You really don't need it. Now, because of the bone, usually it takes longer, okay? But I'm gonna do it within like 15 minutes here. So I'm gonna supersonic. Just let it keep boiling. So it's cooking. Now if I had sesame seed, that would be good. But most simplest thing about it is, if you're a single guy or even if you're a young person, you cook this dish with rice and it could last you for a couple of days. You don't even have to refrigerate it. When you travel to Eastern world, they'll have this kind of dish out in the humid heat all day long. So when you have a cool temperature country, you could just cook this and keep it in. You could just keep it in wherever the kitchen or the room, wherever you have space. I'm gonna put pepper in it. Here's the thing. When you go to other countries and you see some people putting this, start with the oil and then start with the garlic and onion and cook it for a few minutes and then add the chicken and then cook and then add this, all you don't have to do that stuff. If you really want to make it simple, it's just don't even put the pot, put the chicken, put all the stuff in it, put the water to about here, cover the lid, put the fire on. The only thing you have to worry about is just don't let it splatter over it. And then just mix and stir, okay? And taste it. Make sure it's not too salty. That's the most important. Not too sugary and not too salty. That's the most important. But people usually think meat with bones in it is complicated. It's not. And when you see in a kitchen, this chef supposedly have a lot of experience, start putting this first and then put the next thing and next thing and next thing and next. You think, wow, that guy must be the great. No, it doesn't take all that. It doesn't. We have evolved in cooking. It is artistic. Now, when you do a Chinese cooking, put the oil, put the ginger and then garlic, and it's very artistic, but it is not necessary, okay? Especially when you're young people who are starting out in life, okay? And you have this minimum wage job, you have no education, you know, and you don't know what your future is going to be. You want to save as much money as possible. Just that simple chicken is like few dollars. But you could cook this and you do not have to cook again, depending on how much you eat. At least for a day, you do not have to cook again. Because you could eat this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It doesn't matter. So, but this is very important for young guys who wants to weight lift. You want to put some muscle on you, okay? Because there's a lot of protein, and you eat a lot of rice to supplement because you don't have the money. But the bones is the key to making this thing flavorful. Without the bones, you gotta add stocks to it, and that means extra money and an extra trip wherever the room space in your refrigerator. If you don't have any, you have to go to. So anything you want to buy it with bones. That's the best way to do it. And you don't have to be artistic. First put the oil, and then when it's fried the ginger and go. You do not have to. You just put them all together like a little kid who's just playing a Play-Doh. You know, put them all together, and then just let it cook. Because of the bone, it's got to be cooked like for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. If it didn't have a bone, you could probably do it within 5, 7. But the bones, you should cook it a little bit thoroughly. So 15 minutes, it'd be done. Okay. Now the only thing I would like to put this is sesame seed, but it's not necessary. So the main thing is, if I had all kinds of herbs and spice, yeah, I could make some great tasting food. But I'm talking about you don't want to be making trips to the store when you have simple ingredients. Okay? Getting in line in traffic and in a grocery store, you know, if you have a very high temper, impatience, I recommend just use the basic necessities in your cooking. and then you don't have to bother anybody and be interfering with chaos. I mean, you've seen the YouTubes about public freakouts and all that, right? Anyway, you could prevent all that and be safe in your own little space. So this is about done, okay? So take a camera, can you take a picture? So look at this. Few minutes is done, okay? So I'm gonna just let it simmer. So when you buy meat with the bones, the cheapest is probably the best. Now the whole focus here with me is that you do not want to be making special trip to the store. Use whatever things you have. Simple with garlic, ginger, onion. That is simplest thing you need with salt and pepper and stuff. Because the more you put in, the more money you gotta put into it. That chicken only costs like $3. If you put all kinds of other herbs and things, it eventually becomes the $3 chicken became 20. I mean, with that $20, you could have bought another 4 chicken. So, anyway, this is a chicken dish. Depending on what you put in it, changes to the culture. It's not the chicken that changes. It's not the garlic and onion and oil. It's the seasoning. And India has the most complicated. And I will teach you something about that later on. But it's just the seasoning. That's all it is. So you didn't have to cook. You didn't have to be artistic in this. You could just put it all together and just let it cook, simmer through. Okay? For all the kids out there that you don't like cooking, but you like the taste, and you don't want to go out and buy and spend money, this is the simplest way to cook chicken. Okay? Until next time.